So this is a special solo rules. I made these rules. They are not from the designer. So they have their own balancing issues. This is for a solo scenario I'm calling End of Days for the game Area Z by Button Shy. Now, if you saw my other video, there we are. The rules are not changing. The rules for how things are played, the abilities, none of that's changing. I'm simply using the same components. I took the sleeves off these because the glare was a little bad. But adding a few little caveats to how things go. And there'll be a couple difficulties listed below. Different goals, different restrictions. But overall, the game is unchanged. I'm simply just adding a way to play it by yourself. And you're not facing an opponent that controls a faction. You're basically just taking on a score challenge, more or less. But there are definitely going to be certain caveats to that. So in the beginning, you have your 18 cubes. You're actually going to place all of them this time, and you'll see why in a second. So, maybe I just do red will do 2 in all their areas. You still have the same placement restrictions. So red can only place in red. Green can only place in green. Let's do 3 down here. We'll be a little bold. And blue is going to be really crazy, and they're only going to have them in these select pockets. Because after we do our setup, I'm going to run out 12 zombies. Basically, this is, if you want to say it's an urban area, it's the way the world was, whatever. This is the initial, if you've seen any good zombie movies with that initial outbreak, you're going to kind of see where this goes very quickly. So what you're going to do is you're actually going to shuffle up. Make sure you flip some over as you shuffle. You're going to run out 3 waves. This is called the initial zombie wave. All my difficulties for this scenario are based off the fact that you have the entire group, and then you're going to run out 12 zombies. So you're going to set it up, same deployment rules. So this one, first card, so I'm going to, if I can get this into focus, there we go. I'm going to square, and I'm going to deploy those in the red square. So I'm going to get my 4. Find out where the red square is. Probably would help if I didn't dump all my guys. There we are. They're going to go here. Now, as with the initial deployment or anything of zombies, once they show up, they are going to take out one of each faction. So red's going to lose 1 instantly. Then we're going to do their movements. 1 is going to move down 2. So this one's just going to go as far as it can. There we go. Next one would try to go to the left, which it can't. Then it's going to try to go up, which it can't. So one's just going to stay there. Another one's going to try and go left and up. So people are actually surviving the initial wave this time. Then another one's going to try and go down. So, okay. So I moved the red token. So my second one would go down. Okay. Wave 1. Well, actually, part 1 of the initial zombie wave. We're going to do a second time, flipping some cards over. Obviously, for me in sleeves, this is much easier just to do it. Okay, so let's go to the green square. So same card, green square. 4 are going to show up. You're going to lose a guy initially because the other one will run. All right, now 1's going to move left 2 spaces, but that's as far as it can go. Okay. 1's going to move up 3 spaces. There it goes. 1's going to move down 2. So it's going to hit this area, then this area, taking 1 out of each. That was one of the hungrier zombies. Then another one's going to move down 2. So we're going to be obliterating that there. All right. Third part of the wave. Flip over a few. See, make sure I'm not doing the same cards up. No, I'm not. All right, I'll do it. I'll just flip that one off and do things the easy way, right? Send that one flying. Where was this guy? I have no idea where he was. The initial launch area. That's where that guy was. Okay, so square, blue square. Wow, this card's getting wrecked. Yes, you may hear my kids yelling off in the background. Post 4th of July. They're definitely still a little cranked up. 1's going to move left 2 spaces, so he'll just go there. That guy's annihilated. Down to some more destruction, so kill. and there. There we go. Over and down. Okay, so obviously each explosion, each wave is going to be different, and there's no way to tell. I mean, this easily could have been the Pentagon card or the Circle card, and things could have gone very differently. Now, survivors are going to go about their game. There are some restrictions that are built into every version, and then there's restrictions specific to certain difficulties. So let me find my example cards. I'll see if I can't get this to focus a little bit better. So this airdrop ability, parachute ability, whatever you want to call it, this is exclusive to blue. Only the blue tokens, here, as I bump the entire camera as I do it. Blue is the only one that can do this paratrooper maneuver. The Snipe ability, that's going to be exclusive to red. Obviously for me, there's the orange cubes. They are the only ones that can use the Snipe ability. And do I have it? I do. So this conversion ability is exclusive to green. Now, normally that would be almost pointless because you're trying to have the survivors work. Well, that conversion ability will also work with zombies. So at the same time, and no matter the difficulty, green might be able to get more of their guys on the board and take out a zombie at the same time. Now, that for the sake of the normal scoring, that is not killing a zombie, so you will not get the 1 point for the conversion. It's more just getting a guy back on the board and getting a zombie off the board. So let's start talking the, I will also say the written version, the most up-to-date version of the rules will be in the description below. It might update. I will definitely put an update tag in there for at the very top if rules change, but for the most part, this feels like this works out just fine. So obviously you have this initial onslaught of zombies and whatnot. Well, for easy, this is a very freakish scenario because normally they would not all be coming from there. For easy, you're going to be open up cohabitation points. So cohabitation points are if you have one of each in an area, you'll get 1 point for each group of 3 that are there. This is going to offset the fact that only control of an area is going to score as per the rules. So this is actually not going to control an area, but it will get you a point just for having the 3 there. It's a nice little bonus in case you end up with 2 in one location when you just throw a third or whichever. This is meant to be easy. The premise is just you want to try and get, I believe I said 25 points. All the points are going to be scored together. So and any given card, actually this is true for all the rules, any given card, yes, there we go. For example, these cannot be split amongst the factions. 1 card, 1 faction. You do not need to represent each faction in all your plays. So for example, in my 12 card plays in a given turn, I do not need to do blue 4 times, red 4 times, and blue 4 times, and green 4 times, sorry. I could do all of them blue if that's what I so chose. But obviously the big deal there is the more survivors on board, the less chance you have of the zombies overrunning you. Now, for easy, and I repeat again, this is easy. This is allows for avoidance. The zombies aren't doing much. If you don't kill these zombies, they're not going to end up back in this zone to the supply to get redeployed. So if they end up grouped up like they were, you probably could play a very boring game and just avoid them. No big deal. I mean, this guy's going to have to move or he's probably going to get nuked off. But getting above 25, that's probably possible. But again, like I said, it's easy. Now, the Zombie Nation, I know, play on words. I listened to techno back in the 90s. The initial setup still happens, the same sweeping moves, but in this, the standard mode, zombies are also going to score points. So they have control of an area if they are the only one or the majority. Obviously, technically, that would also be a majority, but I just wanted to spell that out in the rules that they have control of these zones. That means that the paratrooper ability is really good, but this spawning ability is going to become harder and harder if people are more spread out. So that's kind of its own thing. You're going to find that, yes, there are a couple times where the abilities just don't seem to really want to work out, but you have to kind of view this as this is sort of an apocalypse where nations or groups of people just want to survive, but at the same time, killing other humans is not really the number one priority. But you are going to get your points for controlling an area. So if you ended up in a freakish scenario where, let's say you're here, if you want to score more points, instead of moving that red guy, it might be easier just to kill them. And I know that's not quite thematic, but the whole point still is you're out there, score points, you need your majorities, all that stuff. So for scoring and everything else, this one's a little different. You're going to, I have it listed that each of the factions, as well as the zombies, are going to score separately. So this is a little more recording. I don't think it's going to add more than 2 minutes. But blue's going to have its own score, red's going to have its own score, green's going to have its own score, the zombies are going to have their own score. At the end, you need each faction to score at least 5 points, which doesn't seem like it should be hard, but, you know, given how that initial wave turns out, things might go badly. And at least one faction must score higher than the zombies, just in case the zombies are scattered out, or you're leaving them here, because if the zombies control the most gray areas, they're going to get that 3 points round after round after round. You're going to run into some problems. I mean, you can't just let them sit here scrolling up an extra 9 points. They also get 1 point for killing survivors. So in the later turns, as they deploy and move, they too, you know, they move over here, kill one of these guys, there's a point. They move into one of those cohabitation areas, which there are no cohabitation points on this. They move into one of these, if they ended up there, they're going to get 3 points. So the factions are definitely going to want to kind of hold their own ground. It's not required, but it's kind of encouraged in the points. Now, the final one, which is, I almost call it like the all hope is lost. You're going to probably need extra tokens. Because before, where these tokens just sat there, well, you could starve out the zombie supply and just try and race them on points. Well, not anymore. So during the zombie phase on turn 1, you still have the supply to go. So you can't ever truly defeat the zombies. You can't actually do that. This final version, I actually don't really have scoring as a major concern, and you'll see why in a second. So after this initial, wipe out, this initial zombie wave, you get this supply of survivors. You still have the same 6 and so on. That's fine. I'm using what I like to nickname the Walking Dead rules. As the zombies deploy and then move about, in every turn after the initial zombie wave, all survivors that are killed off, they go away. They're not coming back. They just get turned into the zombies. That's where I have these extra ones. They create more zombies by killing survivors. Somewhat thematic. It's your big challenge really is just going to be survive and get points, because your issues are going to be that if you sit in these whole zombie survive, these zombie pockets, then when the next wave comes in and moves, like, you can't win if you're not shooting off zombies. You can't let them just stay in these groups. You can't just let them sit there and accrue points. You're going to have to start shooting them. And as you shoot them, the initial ones are the dark brown, obviously. They will resupply the wave. Well, then when the wave comes out and starts disseminating and start taking out your other guys, whether they got created by drops or airdrops or whatever, well, then they'll make more zombies. Like, there really is not a very easy way to win. So in this, I set the score, I think, fair enough, because you are going to have some avoidance, but at the same time, you might have, one group down here that's scoring, the most blue points, as well as 1 point for having the most blue areas under control. You might be getting 3 points a turn, but they come in, if they shatter this, you're not really going to be in a position to come back. So you might have to have a roaming camp. You might have to have, your survivors constantly moving around. This is sort of just a thought experiment. I don't think that this is the perfect way it's done yet. For right now, the hard mode, it's not worried about separate scoring. You still get your combined points. Just because not getting the reload of survivors, it's not going to work out. I do have it set that at the end of the, come on, Walking Dead scenario, you want to have at least one of each group surviving. You need at least one member of each faction to survive, this zombie sweeping wave. I have no idea if a turn is a day, a week, a year, who knows. Either way, that part's kind of fun. But you're going to see some setups get more hairy than others. But I think this is a definitely a fun way to try it, where you don't. Obviously, the Walking Dead version needs extra components, but I'm not using dice. I'm not trying to have you face off against an AI who's making hard decisions. You're still just facing off against the zombies, but you're in control of all the survivors, and depending on what's difficulty you're playing, you have different restrictions. You have different scoring capabilities. If I missed anything in this video, it's going to be fixed in the rules below. There might even be another addendum. I have a feeling that the Walking Dead scenario will also add in the Zombie Nation scoring scenario, where the zombies will also control and score points. So we'll see. That just requires a little more testing to see whether or not I end up with these glutted areas in the beginning. So those are my ideas. All the rules are still the same. I just added restrictions as to which color can use certain abilities, and just that the zombies in certain difficulties will also be getting points. So it might add 5 minutes to your game once you get familiar with it. Questions, comments? Absolutely, I will get back to you as soon as I can. I hope this adds some life to it. I hope it opens the game up to some people like myself, where sometimes getting that second and third player is a little bit harder. So, great game. I can't wait to get more plays on it. So, just let me know what you think.